October 7, 1947. Los Angeles was roaring back to life. Aspirations shimmered on every street corner. But in the canyons of Hollywood, one hopeful young woman was about to become a footnote in an eternal question. Jean Spangler did not leave a note explaining her departure. She left her 2 young children with a babysitter. She left her purse, her identification, and, most disturbingly, she left her car running on a dark, isolated road near the Hollywood sign, with the driver's side door ajar.
Every mystery has a story, but not every story has an answer. Every week, we uncover the chilling cases that have haunted investigators for years. Unsolved disappearances, cold cases, and the darkest secrets waiting to be discovered. Are you ready to uncover the truth? Join us, if you dare. The Unsolved Chronicle.
Her lipstick was still there, ready for a night that never happened. And in the silence that followed, the city of angels would swallow her whole. We begin not with the sirens, but with the promise of a future. Jean Spangler, born Virginia May Spangler, was 23 years old, a spirited woman navigating the complexities of post-war life. She was, by most accounts, striving. She dreamed of acting, working odd jobs, modeling, selling novelties, anything to gain that elusive footing in the dazzling, cutthroat world of Hollywood cinema. In 1947, her life was anchored by 2 small boys and a marriage to Robert Spangler, a contract worker who often traveled. On the evening of October 7th, Jean made arrangements. She hired a local babysitter, 17-year-old Mrs. Betty Hensley, to watch her children while she apparently went out for a brief errand. The errand remains the great unknown. Was she meeting someone? Was it a short drive for supplies? Betty Hensley recalls Jean mentioning she was expecting a rendezvous, but the details were thin, hazy, perhaps an appointment related to her acting aspirations, or perhaps something more personal. At approximately 10 p.m., Betty left the Spangler residence, assuming Jean would return shortly after the children were asleep. Jean Spangler was never seen again. The next morning, October 8th, the absence grew heavy. Robert Spangler returned to the quiet house, found his wife gone and his children cared for. He waited. He contacted friends. He waited longer. It was not until the following day, October 9th, that Robert reported Jean missing to the Los Angeles Police Department. The initial police response centered on the last tangible piece of evidence, her car. On October 10th, a green 1940 Ford coupe was discovered parked roughly 5 miles from the Spangler home, tucked away on a dark, dusty service road near the base of Mount Lee, the mountain that hosted the famous Hollywood sign. The location itself was inherently strange, a place only locals or those deliberately trying to hide would frequent at night. Investigators approached the vehicle with intense scrutiny. The discovery inside became the central, baffling cornerstone of the investigation. The keys were in the ignition. The car was unlocked. And perhaps most chillingly, the engine was cold, suggesting it had been sitting for some time. Inside, they found Jean's purse, containing 50 cents and her identification, things a woman planning to leave permanently would rarely abandon. But it was the smaller details that created forensic puzzles. Tucked into the sun visor was a small, folded piece of paper. On it, scrawled in ink, were 5 words, "Call Kirk. Back soon." Who was Kirk? And why would Jean be driving her car miles from home, leaving the engine running, just to make a brief call? The glove compartment held another oddity, a small, almost brand new bottle of Lucky Tiger men's hair tonic. Jean Spangler did not use men's hair tonic. Was this evidence of a passenger? Or a deliberate plant? Despite intense scrutiny of the car and the surrounding terrain, no definitive signs of struggle were found. No blood, no forced entry. Jean Spangler had seemingly evaporated between the moment she parked and the moment the police arrived. The investigation broadened. They questioned Robert Spangler. The husband was cooperative but offered little concrete insight into Jean's potential destinations that night. They questioned acquaintances, studio contacts, and every person who might have known her secret errands. The leads quickly dried up, leaving the LAPD staring at a car full of inconclusive clues and a woman who vanished into the LA mist. The official narrative often defaulted to the most straightforward, yet least satisfying, conclusion, that she left voluntarily. But the items left behind scream contradiction. Theories and oddities. 7 decades later, Jean Spangler remains in absence. To try and understand her disappearance, we must examine the paths the investigation either followed, or deliberately avoided. We explore 3 dominant narratives surrounding the woman who walked away from her children and her life on a dark Hollywood night. Theory 1, the voluntarily departure. The simplest explanation is often the easiest for law enforcement to file away. Jean Spangler decided to start a new life. Perhaps the pressures of being an aspiring actress, the strain of marriage, or simply the lure of reinvention in a city built on reinvention, proved too much. Proponents of this theory point to her ambition. She was chasing the spotlight. Maybe she finally secured a secret role, or perhaps she ran off with a secret lover, intending to return for the children later, a plan that tragically failed. The argument against this, however, is powerful. Why leave your purse? Why leave money? Why leave your identification? If you are starting fresh, you take your essentials. Leaving her car idling suggests a very brief interruption, not a permanent break. This theory relies on Jean making a series of inexplicable, careless decisions, which seems at odds with the methodical way she arranged childcare. Theory 2, the spousal connection. In many historical disappearances, the nearest person remains the most compelling suspect. Robert Spangler, the husband, always occupied the periphery of suspicion. While he appeared cooperative, his account was sometimes vague. Investigators would later look closely at his employment. He was a contract worker, often traveling. Could Jean have been planning to leave him, and did he intervene before she could? The discovery of the men's hair tonic in the car, while circumstantial, could hint at a male companion, perhaps one known to Jean, or perhaps even Robert himself returning to the car later. What if the mysterious Kirk was a coded reference to a confrontation? If Robert Spangler was involved, the key to the mystery lies not in the Hollywood Hills, but perhaps in a hidden desert grave, a scenario investigators likely pursued but could never prove. Robert remarried 2 years later, moving on with a speed some found unsettling. Theory 3, the rendezvous gone wrong. Los Angeles in the 1940s was glamorous on the surface, but beneath that sheen lay desperation, exploitation, and predatory figures, the shadowy men who promised stardom but demanded favors. This theory posits that Jean was lured to the isolated area under the guise of a legitimate opportunity, an audition, a meeting with a powerful producer, or perhaps someone named Kirk who had leverage over her. The running car and the note suggest she expected to return immediately, perhaps even intending to bring her contact back to the babysitter for an introduction, or simply needing to talk privately outside of the family home. But instead of a contract, she met danger. If a predator was involved, the car became an easy place to abduct her, perhaps by force just out of sight of the running vehicle, or by luring her a short distance away under false pretenses. This explains the lack of struggle in the car. She may have left willingly with someone she thought she knew. The hair tonic could have been a careless piece of evidence left by the abductor, or perhaps a distraction. This narrative aligns with the chilling stillness of the evidence left behind, a sudden, professional silencing in a desolate place frequently used by Angelenos to dispose of unwanted secrets. Case status plus call to action. The search for Jean Spangler soon turned into a massive, disheartening hunt across the vast, unforgiving landscape surrounding Los Angeles. Cadaver dogs were brought in. Theories were exhausted. Leads evaporated. As the weeks turned into months, and the months into years, the case settled into the deep archive of the unresolved. Today, the disappearance of Jean Spangler remains officially open, though functionally cold. Every clue, the note, the tonic, the location of the car, is a breadcrumb that leads only to deeper shadows. The mystery is not just where she went, but why she left everything necessary for the life she was building. We invite you to consider the possibilities. If you had to bet on one theory, the desperate flight, the spousal secret, or the Hollywood ambush, which scenario feels most plausible given the unsettling facts? Let us know in the comments below what you believe happened to Jean Spangler on that October night. We remember Virginia May Spangler, Jean, a hopeful soul whose story deserves its conclusion. May her memory find peace where her path did not.